Welcome to another episode of the Digital Contractor Show on Turf's Up Radio. My name is Tim Fahndrich, and I am your host today with Hardscape Marketer. And I am looking forward to this episode. We're just doing something a little bit different this time. We're calling it the Tim Talk, and hopefully be able to share some things with you. But, we really enjoy our guests on the show as we interview green industry professionals from around the country. And today I'm going to be just kind of, again, deviating a little bit from our normal format, but to just host a Tim Talk and to talk about leveraging your online presence, reputation, and reach. So I'm excited to share this with you. As a digital marketing agency, this is our expertise, and we help contractors all over the country really be able to dial this process in and to grow their business and to grow revenue. So again, looking forward to kind of sharing that with you. But before we dive in, I wanted to actually just kind of share, first of all, just a little bit more about me, so you know more about me as your host. I've actually been around the landscape industry for a long, long time, and I did what many enterprising young men do in their teen years. I started working, weekends and over the summer for, a couple of older couples in the neighborhood. They needed an extra hand around the yard, and so I helped them with their landscape maintenance and really, mowing lawns for them, pulling weeds, doing ivy, whatever that looked like for a teenage kid back in the 80s. So, being able to do that was kind of my first introduction, of course, to the landscape industry on a very small, young entrepreneurial level. And then that actually grew into my brothers had started a landscape company. And so when I was in college, right after high school, just a quick side note, right after high school, I actually went to work up in Alaska for the summer, working in the fish industry. And I did that for 2 summers. And then after my sophomore year, after my freshman year, actually, and after my sophomore year, excuse me, my brothers said, "Hey, why don't you come to work for us in the family landscape business? And we've got a job for you. We'd love to have you." They were up and running and providing landscape design, build, maintenance. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this will lead to, but so I went to work for them and I started mowing lawns. And so I have spent a lot of time on the backside of, or on sitting on or pushing, walking behind a Toro lawnmower, or riding a Walker mower, or Skag. I did it all. We maintained parks and larger residences and commercial properties, and so I was absolutely kind of on that end for a long time of kind of learning the ropes of the landscape business and working with my brothers. So that's a little bit about me. And then in 1996, we actually, I eventually joined as a partner with them. And then in 96, we actually started a .com in the lawn and garden industry. And this is, really, Amazon was a year or two old at the time. They were obviously making a lot of waves, and there were some other people. And we thought, why not start this, new venture in the lawn and garden space? And so we did. And basically, our goal was a couple different things, but we were selling product all over the country, shipping product, lawn and garden supplies, and basically being able to. It was interesting, and being able to ship this stuff. But we always knew there was another tie-in, and so because you just can't ship everything. You can't ship a big shade tree that already well developed and so forth. You're just not going to do that, or it's just not really efficient to send to ship a great big box of fertilizer, bag of fertilizer, various different things. So we always had plans to work it in with our system, with our platform, to be able to kind of tie in not only with landscapers. So we actually built a process to help promote landscapers at that point, as well as we were getting ready to work with garden centers and kind of have this perfect trifecta of, you could buy products, you can work with garden centers, you could also work with landscapers. And that's when 2001 happened, and all the, everybody kind of ran into that proverbial .com brick wall. And so, ultimately, we ran out of money, and like everybody did, we were competing with people that had raised, $100 million, $60 million, a lot of money. And everybody kind of hit that .com brick wall. But we ended up selling the business and selling the website to a company out of Washington. We're based in Oregon, and I ended up going to work with them to build out a wholesale distribution business, selling to wholesale nurseries, selling to landscapers, and selling into the wholesale like landscape supply. So I became very familiar with the Ewings, the Horizons, the United Pipe and Supply at the time. Business, John Deere Landscapes at the time. Now of course all the brand growth, and now Site One and Ewing and different things. But I became very familiar with that industry and sold a lot of different products into those industries. I actually championed the now famous muck boots as a great product for the industry into the wholesale nurseries and landscape supply houses here in the Northwest. And so that was kind of, when I showed up, I was known as the muck guy. So, but that's just a little bit about me. And I spent 6 years doing that. And then in 2007, my wife and I the entrepreneurial bug was biting again, and I was ready to get back on my own. And so we started our own digital marketing agency at that time. And, that's part of our story. So we're going to take a quick break with that. And thank you for letting me share that and tuning in. And I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back then and kind of give you an overview and dive into this proven framework that we have built over the years to help you leverage your online presence, reputation, and reach. Thanks, and we'll be right back. Hey, Turfs Up Radio fans, this is Tim Fahndrich with Hardscape Marketer. Are you frustrated or overwhelmed with marketing your business? If you'd like to be a local market leader, create a steady stream of new customers, and spend more time doing the things you love, we can help. We know what it's like to build a landscape business, run crews, and work with customers. If you're ready to grow your business by getting your internet marketing right, download our ultimate internet marketing cheat sheet today at hardscapemarketer.com/cheat sheet. That's hardscapemarketer.com/cheat sheet. And welcome back to another segment of the Digital Contractor Show here on Turfs Up Radio. My name is Tim Fahndrich, and I'm your host. And today I'm sharing a little bit more just about the proven digital marketing framework. We call it the Digital Marketing Power Wheel that we've created over the years. And really, if you're listening here into the the show or the podcast, I want you to kind of be able to draw out or imagine this circle. If you're watching it on video replay, of course you can see this. But if you can imagine kind of a circle with three different sections of the circle, it's called a flywheel. But a circle and then a smaller circle, and inside the circle, just write Digital Marketing Power Wheel. And on the upper left of the circle, you just kind of write the word presence. And then on the upper right of the circle, write reputation. And then at the bottom half of the circle, write reach. And so I'm going to kind of dive into each of these different segments or parts, and really be able to kind of give you the different components of it, why it matters, and so forth. But again, just kind of wanted to give you that overview. So if we think about the very first part of it, the first section is your online presence. And that's going to relate to a lot of different things. but I actually want to focus, first of all, something that isn't even just on about your online presence. It's really more kind of a foundational thing. It's, and it's all about your brand narrative and brand story. And what is your brand story? And basically, there's a lot of different marketing gurus and a lot of different people out there about kind of how to create the message about your company. We have really latched onto and embraced a process that is outlined in the book and kind of championed in the book by Donald Miller. It's called Building a Story Brand. Clarify your message so customers will listen. And use the 7 elements of great storytelling to grow your business. And the basic premise here, and I highly recommend you get the book. I don't have any benefit from recommending the book, other than I think it's probably the most intuitive brand messaging and kind of the ability to craft a brand story that I've ever seen. And so we were introduced to this book from a really good friend of mine, and then we ended up kind of going through this process as well to craft a brand story for us. But basically, in a nutshell, the idea is, I think we've all this was just really eye-opening for me. I think a lot of times we try to position ourselves as the hero, right? We try to position our company, we're the landscape company, the lawn maintenance company, the hardscape company. We come in with our, riding our white horse, and we're going to be the hero to that customer. And but this kind of flips it on its head, and in terms of the story that you're telling for your company, and really says that's the wrong approach. And the right approach is to how do we write a story and invite our customers into the story that allows them to be the hero and us to be the guide. And it's really based on the idea of storytelling. And if you think about, movies and storytelling, for example, you typically have a character, and a character has a challenge of some sort. And then, so you meet this character, and then he's got this challenge he's got to overcome. And then he meets a guide, and the guide provides this, plan and to be able to solve this problem, and gives a really clear call to action. And if the character then follows the plan, follows the advice of the guide, he becomes the hero and is able to, solve this problem, and he's the hero, right, of the story. Or if he doesn't, follow the plan, then he might not succeed. And you see this story play out so many different times in stories. Let's take Star Wars, for example. You've got Luke Skywalker, and he's got this problem, the evil empire, right? And so he meets let's say Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's got he's the guide, and he's got all the he's got this plan and a call to action that mobilizes maybe a reluctant hero even into action, and gives him the tools and everything he needs to take it to success and defeat the evil empire. And that's really story after story after story. We might not be fighting the evil empire in our business, but we want to be not Luke Skywalker when in our businesses. We want to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. And building that story brand, I think this whole entire framework was so intuitive to me that it was a big aha moment. And so we're embracing it. I highly recommend you pick up a copy of the book for you and your team. So with that, I think we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to be back. Hope you enjoy that. Again, highly recommend you picking up Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Get it on, in the bookstore, on Amazon, wherever. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back and talk more about the components of your online presence and why it matters. Thanks, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to another segment of the Digital Contractor Show. My name is Tim Fahndrich with Hardscape Marketer, and I'm your host. And this is a Tim Talk. Today's episode is all about leveraging your online presence, reputation, and reach. In our last segment, we talked a lot about the brand narrative and story, and I highly recommend you pick up a copy of the book, Building a Story brand by Donald Miller. In this segment, I really want to kind of dial into your online presence. And this is part of the digital marketing power wheel that we have developed and fine-tuned as a digital marketing agency over the last 12 years. And so let's talk about presence, and specifically online presence. So first of all, your website is and remains your marketing hub. And it absolutely needs to be mobile friendly. But I hear a lot of people saying, you know what, I don't need a website, or I'm using Facebook as my website. And, there's lots of different paths, of course, but we still always recommend that you have a website that you can basically use as your marketing hub. And you want it to be mobile friendly, and and you want it to be, you want to dial in this online presence, because people are absolutely using the internet these days to find local businesses. In fact, if we look at this stat here, does your online presence really matter? 90% of consumers used the internet to find a local business in the last year. So does it matter? Absolutely. Long gone, when I was in the landscape business with my brothers, we just used to we used to do a couple things on the marketing side. We used to go to a couple home shows every year, and we used to do one of the display gardens. Always did a great job, well, in my biased opinion, but I think we did a great job of putting together this really nice display garden as part of the show. And then we also used to take out one of the largest Yellow Page ads. And the phone, would ring, and we grew our business that way. Of course, there's lots of other things we did, but those are the two big things. But now, people are using the internet, so you have to dial in your online presence. Your website needs to be on point. You need it to be mobile friendly, and that is your marketing hub. So in addition to having a mobile-friendly website, you also really want to make sure that your Google My Business listing is set up properly, it's claimed, you have control of it, and you're putting good pictures in it and making it easy to find you. Now, why is that important? Well, your Google My Business listing, and it's been called lots of things, Google Maps, it's been called so many things that I've even forgot them all. But currently it's called Google My Business, and it's your most important listing on the web. And so imagine if you're doing a search for your company, and we call that a brand search. So when somebody does a search for your company, you want to see your Google My Business listing show up on the right-hand side of that search result. And so dialing that in, it's really visual. You want to put good pictures on there, a good description of your company. Make sure your address is correct, your website, your your hours, and various different components there. Now, if you run your business out of your home, you run your landscape or hardscape business out of your home, you can choose in Google My Business not to show your address and do a service area instead. But just you still need to put an address in there. They don't allow you to put PO boxes. So, but that's a really important part of your online presence, and quite frankly, it is the most important listing outside of your website. And in some cases, depending on how people are searching, it's your most important listing for your business, for the brand search. The other thing is what we call the NAP listings. NAP stands for name, address, phone number. So you want to be able to make sure there's hundreds of places that your name, address, and phone number are listed, and you want to make them consistent and accurate in terms of the exact business name, the exact address, the exact city, state, the zip codes, hours, etc., website link. You want to make it consistent and support your Google My Business listing. Why is that important? Even things like, it's crazy, but even things like, spelling street out versus abbreviating ST, it's not that somebody wouldn't find you necessarily, of course, but, if they saw ST versus STREET, however, the more consistent and accurate you can be in your NAP listings across the internet, these are called citations. The more consistent you can be, the more it's going to support your Google My Business listing, which helps you get found. So the importance of all of this, if you want to be found by consumers looking for landscaping services, making sure that you have a mobile-friendly website, which is, so because Google doesn't like non-mobile friendly websites, making sure your Google My Business listing is correct and your NAP listings or citations are correct. That is an important piece of getting found, and with your online presence. A couple other things that I'll just mention here. If you think about your sales funnels, that's part of your presence. Like, how are you utilizing sales funnels? And that's a whole nother, probably another sim talk that we'll go over. And then also your social media presence. Social media is such a huge way of how consumers interact with us as brands and as marketers. And so social media is an important part of your online presence, and making sure that you have a presence on the right sites that fit for you. And, in the green industry, we want to think about your demographic, but, certainly, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, if you're doing a lot of commercial, and depending on what, just the ability to get referred to or endorsed by and connected to professionals is a great place to be on LinkedIn. Absolutely. YouTube is a social media site. There's others, but just dialing in your social media presence, and that forms the foundation of your online presence. And again, because consumers are using the internet now, I mean, what do? We Google a company all the time, and I'll talk a little bit more of that in the next segment. But that brings us to a quick break, and we'll be back and really talking about your online reputation. So this is Tim Fahndrich on the Digital Contractor Show on Turf's Up Radio. We'll be right back. Hey, Turf's Up Radio fans, this is Tim Fahndrich with Hardscape Marketer. Are you frustrated or overwhelmed with marketing your business? If you'd like to be a local market leader, create a steady stream of new customers, and spend more time doing the things you love, we can help. We know what it's like to build a landscape business, run crews, and work with customers. If you're ready to grow your business by getting your internet marketing right, download our ultimate internet marketing cheat sheet today at hardscapemarketer.com/cheat sheet. That's hardscapemarketer.com/cheat sheet. And we're back with another segment of Tim Talk here on the Digital Contractor Show, Turf's Up Radio. My name is Tim Fahndrich with Hardscape Marketer, and I'm your host for today's episode. So in the last segment, we talked a lot about your online presence. In this segment, I want to talk about your online reputation. Again, this is part of what we call the digital marketing power wheel, and it's a proven marketing framework that we have used very successfully over the years to help our contractor customers grow their business. And that's what we all want to be local market leaders. We all want to grow. Sometimes it's hard to know how to do that. We come alongside as a guide to help you implement this digital marketing power wheel and give you a really clear plan to be able to grow revenue so that you can be the hero for your employees, for your customers, and more, to your family. Really by implementing that. And quick note, did you see what I did there? I talked about you as wanting to be a local market leader. And you being the hero. We come alongside of you not as the hero, but as the guide. And so we're implementing the story brand principle in everything that we do as well. So let's talk reputation. So, reputation are things like your reviews and, maybe how, recommendations and referrals. It's also a little broader outside just the internet space, but, more in terms of like community involvement. Do you volunteer on a board? Does your team provide, help to build out a playground at a school or various different things? And then, memberships and alliances. Are you part of any associations or the chambers of commerce or a networking group, whatever? Those are all things that play into your reputation and builds the social proof and the know, like, and trust factor. And I actually, have an entire other Tim talk on building the know, like, and trust factor and building this out. I actually just completed what we call the Reputation Roundup Challenge, where I go through specifically the first three items here: your reviews, your recommendations, and referrals, and how that plays out to land to really dial that in, and to create a steady stream of new customers. But, why do your reviews really matter? Or does, maybe the question is, does your online reputation really matter at all? Well, statistically and anecdotally, we know it does. 86% of consumers read online reviews for local businesses. That includes contractors, and there's so many different stats around this, and we see it all day long. We've been helping customers since 2010 really start dialing in and getting more reviews because we saw that it was going to be a big deal. And so we've been doing this a long time. It's one of the absolute specialties of our business, and it is very, very important to dial this in. If you've ever looked at your reviews, you just said, they said what? And you're looking at what they wrote, and I can't believe they wrote this. And this is a very, for those of you that can see this if you're watching, it's a very common face that we see. For those that are listening, it's a face of disgust. This is radio, so it's a face of disgust and confusion of like, they said what? And everyone and their dog has an opinion these days, ranging from, I can't believe how bad that was, one person might say, and the next person next to him might say, I loved that. And then you've got a dog. Literally, dogs have profiles these days, and they might just be yelling bacon. But they're sharing these opinions online in droves. And you've got places like Google and Facebook and Houzz and Home Advisor and Yelp and Angie's List and Better Business Bureau and We're Local, which is our platform. And they're sharing these opinions in droves, and it just, you want to be proactive about not letting this process up to chance. And the fact is, consumers control conversations. And so you want to, first of all, of course, do good work, but then you don't want to leave the review process up to chance. You want to be proactive about putting a system into place that absolutely and proactively asks your customers for feedback and creates these online reviews that builds the know, like, and trust factor for other consumers. Let me tell you a quick story that I think will drive this home. So I have a friend of mine who works for the local hospital, and he's in IT there. His wife's actually a doctor. I mean, it's a great demographic for us in the green industry, right? So they've got a family. They're professionals, and this story demonstrates everything that I've just talked about. He was looking for a place to get his lawnmower fixed. So he started asking around, among his colleagues at the hospital for, a repair shop. Hey, where do you take your lawnmower to get fixed? And so maybe he's not a great demographic in the sense that he's mowing his own lawn, but you get the idea. So he got, the same name kept popping up, and basically, of a repair shop that people were saying, yeah, these guys are great. So he did what everybody does, and he pulled out his smartphone and he Googled that company. Again, we call that a brand search. And he Googled that company, and what he saw was something he didn't like. He didn't like their reviews. And basically, he was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And he does what most people do, because almost 90% of consumers, depending on the age group, it is that high in some age groups, trust online reviews from complete strangers as much or more as the recommendation of a friend. And so it all plays into the buyer's journey. And he ended up doing another search and found a repair shop with great online reviews. He took his business there. The repair shop without great reviews, that didn't have a good reputation, lost out. They didn't even know it, and they lost out on what could have been a really loyal customer. So it plays well to, Google actually has a name for this, and they call it the zero moment of truth. And it refers to the point in the buying cycle when the consumer researches a product, often before the seller even know they exist, and they make kind of that split-second decision of, are they going to move forward with, contacting that company or not? Are they going to do like what my friend did? He didn't like what he saw, and so he did another keyword search. So there's brand search and there's a keyword search. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But he did another keyword search, lawnmower repair shop, and he found a company based on their reputation and took his business there. So again, that speaks to today's buying journey. Let's talk about the phases really quickly, and we'll wrap up with that. So your first phase of the buying journey is people have they have a need, and they become interested or aware of your company. And so they do some research, and that creates this moment that we talked about, the zero moment of truth. And they either like it, like what they see, and decide to move forward, or they don't and find a company, because they have a need, so they're trying to buy, they find a company that they can buy from. So let's say they do, they move forward and they purchase, they hire you, and that's the first moment of truth. And they've actually hired you, they make a purchase, and then after the purchase experience is done, whether they've hired you to build a new hardscape or put a lawn in or irrigation system, or they're you're maintaining their lawn, etc. The feedback then is the second moment of truth, is where they're comparing the experience with what they thought they were going to get. And that creates the second moment of truth in a feedback loop. And it basically says, well, I expected this. Did they meet my expectations or not? And that's where they're taking those opinions and they're sharing them online in the form of online reviews. And that becomes part of what we call, that basically then becomes public for everybody to see, and it becomes part of the next person's zero moment of truth. And that's why it's so important to be proactive about building your online reputation, building the know, like, and trust factor, building your presence, building your reputation, all of those things combined. It's just so critical. So that is a lot about the buyer's journey. And I'm going to wrap up with that. Take another quick break. We'll come back and talk about your online reach. Thanks. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with another segment of Tim Talk on the Digital Contractor Show on Turf's Up Radio. My name is Tim Fahndrich of the Hardscape Marketer, and I'm your host. And in this segment, I want to talk about reach. We've already covered your online presence. We've covered your reputation. And in this segment, again, I want to talk about reach. So what does that mean? And I'll come back to more details. So I have it's basically, in a nutshell, how are you reaching more customers? How are you reaching those prospective customers? I have a business mentor of mine, puts it in a really simplistic way. So basically, make sure at least one more person, I have a typo there in my notes, but make sure one more person knows about your business today than yesterday. That's just in a nutshell. How are you reaching more people? How do more people have that awareness that can potentially match up with a need? And so then when we think about how are you reaching new customers, I want to talk about a couple of really key areas. One is content. And, we've heard the phrase, I'm sure, a lot, and I'm sure you've heard it, content is king. And content really is, whether that's video content, social media content. You'll notice the social media is also here under reach. Social media is pervasive to all of this framework: presence, reputation, and reach. But so whether it's again video content, social media content, blog content, project content, reviews are a form of content, recommendations are a form of content. All of that is king. And really, content is the new basically the new local SEO, or search engine optimization. For a long time, people talked about, very specific ways to optimize and SEO your site. And that's still true. There's absolutely fundamental things that you want to do as part of your website. And that really kind of falls into the presence side in terms of optimizing your website for local SEO, to make sure it's structured well and make sure it has the right titles and descriptions and keywords and different things. But that game, so to speak, and it is an evolving game to play, basically, the SEO game, or search engine optimization. But really, so much of it comes down now to content. And so when you can put good content out there, and we actually have kind of a simple action plan that we recommend in terms of content, is number one, create or capture great content, share that content everywhere, And then number 3 is promote with paid ads your best content. So again, really then that, content is king. It is the new local SEO. And then that kind of segues into the paid ad side of, of the reach part of the digital marketing power wheel. So paid ads can be really kind of a lot of, local SEO is more organic. You want to get found organically, meaning, you're not paying specifically. But paid ads, then, first part of that is search keyword. So somebody, again, going back to kind of the buyer's journey and thinking about, they've got a need. Maybe they're not familiar with your company yet, so they're not necessarily doing a brand search, or they do like my friend and they didn't like the brand search. So now they're doing a keyword search for a lawnmower repair shop, or hardscape contractor, or irrigation contractor, maintenance, landscape maintenance, whatever it might be. There's hundreds of different keywords that are relevant for our industry. But when somebody types in that keyword, you typically know it's called buyer's intent. You know that they want to buy a service or a product. And so showing up at the top of Google with a paid ad using Google Ads is basically, is the best way and really the only way to basically make sure that you're showing up at the top of the page. A lot of people will promise a lot of different things, and Google plays a game. They're not stupid. They're actually really smart. They built a phenomenally huge business based on Google Ads. That's where they make their money. And so they want you to pay to play. There's of course, there's other sections. You can get found organically, you get found in the maps, but they really do want you to pay for those keywords. And that's where, supply and demand dictates the cost of that. But basically that buyer's intent, that's the search keywords. And then there's other things like a display ad. So you might be, running a display ad, and we do this for our customers, for example, where we'll run maybe a 300 by 250 pixel ad on a popular news site, for example. Maybe it's CNN or Fox News or CBS or the local TV station, whatever that might be, and basically being able to show that display ad. We also, another component of paid ads, I mentioned kind of, creating content, capturing content, and promoting your best content with paid ads. So another part of that could be, even as simple as on Facebook, boosting an article, sharing it on Facebook or Instagram, and then boosting or paying to promote that particular piece of content, because maybe it was just a killer project and you've got an amazing video or slideshow of that, after pictures of this amazing patio that you just put in. So paying to promote that in a paid advertising way, because that's how you're going to reach more customers. And then, of course, retargeting. We've all seen this in action. And the idea of retargeting is basically to show people or show ads to people who have already been to your website. And, you kind of follow them around. And I give ladies kind of a hard time, but men, this happens to us all the time too, probably even worse. Ladies go to Nordstroms.com and they look at these great pair of shoes, and then that pair of shoes follows them around everywhere they go and they buy me. But again, men, it happens to us all the time too. So basically, it's just showing ads to people that have been to your website, maybe even visited a very specific product. But that way you stay in front of them, because the national average, and this speaks to the importance then of being able to stay in front, the national average of conversion on your first visit is so when somebody visits your website for the first time, that conversion of them taking action the very first first visit is like 2.35% on a national basis. So really important to stay in front of them and find ways to do that to convert them later. So that, and again, social media is part of the reach, but that covers kind of the main key areas of reach and how we implement that as part of the digital marketing power wheel. So we're going to come back and really talk about, I put together a couple of challenges for you to think about, some actions that you can take. So I'm going to come back after a break and we'll wrap it up. Thanks, and we'll be right back. Hey, Turfs Up Radio fans, this is Tim Fahndrich with Hardscape Marketer. Are you frustrated or overwhelmed with marketing your business? If you'd like to be a local market leader, create a steady stream of new customers, and spend more time doing the things you love, we can help. We know what it's like to build a landscape business, run crews, and work with customers. If you're ready to grow your business by getting your internet marketing right, download our ultimate internet marketing cheat sheet today at hardscapemarketer.com/cheat sheet. That's hardscapemarketer.com/cheat sheet. All right, we're back with another segment of the Digital Contractor Show. This is Tim Talk. I'm Tim Fahndrich with Hardscape Marketer, and I'm your host. And in this segment, we're just going to kind of do some wrap up. We've been talking about leveraging your online presence, your reputation, and your reach. It's a proven marketing framework that we've developed that we call the Digital Marketing Power Wheel. And just as a recap, we talked on the presence side. We talked about your brand narrative and story. Having a mobile-friendly website. Making sure your Google My Business listing is dialed in and your other listings and just your social media and sales funnel presence. On reputation side, we talked about that importance of having great reviews so that it matches up with the recommendations and referrals and basically helps consumers along the buying journey, make that decision to contact you. And why that is so important, because we tend to trust reviews from complete strangers as much or more as recommendations and referrals. And then in our last segment, we talked about reach and how content is king, how it's the new SEO, and how you can also do paid ads to reach more customers. And basically, in its most simple format, you just want to make sure that more people know about your business today than they did yesterday. And that's really about reach. So what I want to do in this wrap-up segment here is I hope you found some value as far as thinking about your marketing framework. And I've created a couple of mini challenges for you that I'd love to kind of just, when you get off, when you get done listening, to think about and to take action on. And so the first challenge that I put together is just open your website on your smartphone. And, is it mobile friendly and is it responsive, mobile responsive? Or do you have to do the pinch and squeeze? Do you have to pinch and squeeze or slide to be able to even see the whole screen? If you're doing the pinch and squeeze or sliding, it's not mobile responsive. And so that's something to make a quick note on and make a decision to change that, because 6 out of 10 visitors to your website, if it's not mobile responsive and easy to use on a smartphone, they're out of there. And so you don't want to lose out on that business. And, second thing is it mobile friendly in the sense that can users click to call? You want to make it drop dead simple to call you. And so being able to do that. So that's the mini challenge number 1. Mini challenge number 2 is I want you to just look at your online reviews. I mean, when was the last time you've done that? And look, how many online reviews do you have? How many have you received in the last 6 months? And maybe I should even change that to the last 3 months, because statistically, I don't remember the exact number at the moment, but most consumers don't look at reviews that are older than 3 months old, and they don't think they're relevant, right? So, how many reviews have you received in the last 6 months, 3 months, et cetera? And then how many review sources or sites do you have reviews on? So that's my mini challenge number 2, is just when you get done listening, open up Google and just do a brand search for your company and look at how many reviews do you have? Do you have some reviews on Google, some maybe Facebook, Houzz, Home Advice? Where are your reviews? And just kind of do a quick tabulation. And mini challenge number 3, when was the last time you published a new content on your website? So just look back. Have you published any projects lately? Any blog posts? Or maybe it's not even just on your website, but maybe just check. Are you publishing new content on your social media channels? Open up Instagram. When was the last time you posted? Are you active? Are you actively engaged in posting or not? And so just kind of, here's a couple. I thought I'd throw out a couple mini challenges for you to just kind of spur you to action and encourage you to kind of look at some of these things that we've talked about today. So those are my mini challenges. And again, just kind of wrapping up, we talked today about the digital marketing power wheel and the importance and the opportunity to leverage your presence, reputation, and reach. And if you got any questions, I'm the host here of the Digital Contractor Show. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to us via Instagram, Hardscape Marketer, via, on our website, Facebook. You can call us. We actually answer the phone. I'm Tim Fahndrich with co-founder and CEO of Hardscape Marketer. We're a division of Third River Marketing. We also co-founded and created the We're Local platform, which is an awesome platform to help you build your presence, reputation, and reach in local marketing. And so I just really appreciate you spending time with me today. I hope you got some value out of how we look at and have created this proven marketing process and framework called the Digital Marketing Power Wheel. So wherever you are or whatever you do in the green industry, make it a great day. My name is Tim Fahndrich, and I'm signing off for now on the Digital Contractor Show on Turfs Up Radio. Thanks. Have a great day.